Hello and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for the loudness. Welcome to this week's new episode of X Vlog Live. I am your solo dolo host, Mr. BoomStick XL. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be solo for the next 60 minutes, give or take, unless I can get somebody in here with me. Unfortunately, there was a family emergency for C-Money. Hopefully, everything is okay. He'll be back next week. But listen, we have two magnificent topics to get into. So for the next 60 minutes, folks, if you're having your lunch, grab that ham sandwich and, get ready to hang out and get some information on Starfield. Of course, Bethesda's Tim Lamb making some big headlines on future DLC and some big improvements coming to what is one of the best Bethesda games ever released, at least in my opinion. Folks, we also got to get into the ridiculousness that is Helldivers 2. 500K since Xbox joined the party. And folks, I'm here to tell you, some narratives were crushed when that happened because, well, I thought Xbox players don't buy games, ladies and gentlemen. Well, apparently they do. Because, and again, today is the 28th of August. September is right around the corner. Even though the game released on the 26th, we could see again, it's just, speculation here. We could see a topping of the charts for Helldivers 2 on Xbox. It's made some big gains on Steam once again. And again, it just goes to show you that when everyone, I don't want to sound like Phil Spencer, when everyone plays together, everybody wins, I guess. But when you have hype around a game like Helldivers, and the game is phenomenal, folks. If you haven't played it, it is. I mean, again, I've been dropping to planets left, right, and center solo. I've run into a couple of people. We finished a couple of boards. I've soloed, some of the beginning stages just fine. I would imagine I'm going to need help, and if you want to join me, my gamer tag is Mr. BoomStick XL. You see me on, just join. It's not a problem. I usually don't have my mic on. I'd have to find it, and so we can, communicate. But yeah, I'm having a great time with it. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for showing up. We already have 100 people here. We're only 2 minutes into the show. That's pretty big deal. I remember, and I say this all the time because you never take anything for granted. I remember it used to take us the entire show to get 100 people here. So obviously, we're doing something right here at Double Barrel Gaming. I want to take a quick look at the chat and shout some people out. Hey, the best mod in the business. You know who he is. He's the man that carries a very big band stick but walks silently behind you like a ninja. That is, of course, Boss Mod. Leave the pop. What's going on, brother? Great to see you here. Thanks so much for doing what you always do, and that is keeping the trolls away so we can have a good time having a conversation about what we love, and that's video games, ladies and gentlemen. Cullen Prime says, "Oh no, not Alex." I'm not sure. I like Alex. Alex is a funny dude. He's extreme. And I don't think he's ever going to be on my show. And I don't think I've appeared once on his videos, which wasn't so terrible. He's never gone for the juggler with me, which I appreciate Alex for that. But I also don't do some dumb things. It's fine. It's fine. So again, salute to Xbox Nation, indeed, King Webb. Again, Xbox Nation, this is an Xbox show. And we are going to talk about Xbox. So a shout out to everybody that's here already. And like I said, I reached out to a couple of people. So far, no one's gotten back to me, and that's okay. Again, this was a last minute kind of a thing. They do have the link, so we might get a co-host. And if not, then you know what? I'll do what Mav and Dirt Griggity do best, and that is solo these things. They're two of the best solo acts in the business, for sure. And obviously, I'm still listening to Dirt's show from the other day. Great stuff. It was one of my favorite, podcasts to listen to because they have so much fun. And again, I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'm not blowing smoke, but his POS of the week is my favorite segment. I mean, the first time I saw it, I could not stop laughing. So shout out to him. Xboxer Mike, what's going on, brother? And Verge Bizzle or Brizzle in the chat. What's going on, brother? Great to see you here. Will the Broke Boy Insider, great to see you here as always. You know what, folks? Let's rip this Band-Aid right off, and let's get into a report that comes the way of VGT Gaming News Network. Okay, so now again, this is breaking some news regarding Bethesda and Tim Lamb. And what's interesting is, as it stands right now, Starfield is only available on Xbox Series X and S, and of course PC. We are all waiting, or at least a lot of people in the community, especially in games journalism, is waiting for the announcement when this game is going to be released on PlayStation 5. And I'm sure there are a lot of PlayStation players that are looking forward to this game dropping. Now, again, we're going to see a lot of goalpost moving and, tango dancing when the reviews for this game comes out, because obviously it got destroyed because it was only an Xbox game. And again, I'm going to stand on that square and die there. I don't know if you've played Starfield. I have hundreds of hours into it, and it is an incredible experience. And it's one of those games that the more you put into the game, the more rewarding it is. Now, you can, of course, be someone that just follows and colors in the lines and, goes to, follows the numbers, from 1 to 10, and that's the end of the game. But if you're someone like me that likes to, or is distracted very easily like a dog, and I'm not a dog, ladies and gentlemen, but I am distracted like one easily when I'm playing these big open world games. And if you are like me, you can understand that the path is straight ahead, but something shiny is off to the right. And then, of course, what do? Well, you kind of travel over there and you find something. Maybe it's a new weapon. Maybe it's an abandoned, floating casino, which I came across. Everyone is gone except for the pirates that are in there. That was freaking awesome. 0G inside. You're obviously floating around. I don't know if anyone found that as well. I'm still hating on Pong Soul. He found like an alien kind of situation. He found a vessel that was floating in space above some moon, and there was a loose alien, not of course, not the Fox alien, but a loose creature that you actually had to fight on the end of the of that spaceship. I never found that, man. I'm hating on Pong for finding it and not sending me the coordinates. So shout out to Pong Soul. Great member of the community, but it's just, there you go, Mac 22. He drops a very generous $2. Jen says, "Squirrel, yes," just like that, just like Up, one of my favorite films. But yeah, so look, we have all been waiting, and I got to be honest with you. Like, I was there in June. I got a chance to hang out with the community. I got to the fan fest that was set up by Ben Kenobi and a bunch of the incredible people of this Xbox community, and I would have lost money if I would have bet that we would have found something or seen something, some sort of a trailer for the next DLC, which is rumored to be called Starborn. I would have lost money. I thought for sure it was going to be there, and honestly, it was one of the things that surprised me the most that wasn't there. But yeah, yes. So shout out to Gray Fox 020, drops a very generous €2 or 2 euro. He says, "Hey, Boom, the whole slate. Greetings from Amsterdam." Well, greetings to you, kind sir. Thank you so much for the generosity, and of course, thank you so much for being here. Yeah, if you listen to Kay Asante, who had a lot to say about what he heard at Gamescom, he was coy but pretty pointed about Sony kind of following what Xbox is going to do, because guess what, folks? They are a corporation and they want to make money. Shocking. Wacko Games says, "I don't use mods." Yeah, me either. None. I know. You know what it is? I don't like my achievements being, disabled. Like, if I'm playing a game, so listen, I don't always have to get achievements, because obviously I know, like, the Steam achievements, I care less. So if I'm playing a Steam game on the new handheld this fall and I get a Steam achievement, who gives it? You know what? I like some of the mods. I've seen some of them. They look incredible. I'm just not a mod guy. Maybe because I'm just not a PC guy. So I'm right there with you. Prince Green 85 asked a question. Folks, listen, we're going to get into each topic. This is going to be a little bit all over the place because I'm solo, but I do want to bring the chat in. Prince Green asks, can't decide if I want the Ally X, MIS Claw, AI 8, or the Legion Go 2. What do you guys think? What would you go for and why? You know what's interesting? From what I understand, every handheld is eventually going to have this UI to rule them all. I don't know if that is when these two handhelds release and it's day one, or is it some sort of a time thing, meaning that, you know, they want people, you know, obviously Xbox is teamed up with Asus and they're going to want to sell those consoles. They are Xbox specific because obviously they're branded as Xbox consoles, handhelds, and they also have an Xbox button on them. The MSI Claw or the Legion Go 2 probably won't, but you'll probably be able to assign a button that does work like that. I mean, it's entirely up to you. Price is going to be a big thing for a lot of people. And again, if you missed last night's show, check it out. I'm actually going to break it down into a smaller video where Keasante, because, you know, he had hands-on both consoles. And he actually said that he thinks for his money and for what he's going to buy, it's going to be the S version, which, you know, again, it's lighter. It doesn't have as big as a battery, but that's why it's lighter. And he thinks that it's going to be the console choice for a lot of people. Me, I was originally on board for give me the big boy at $900. And then when you're saving for your first home, folks, you just don't spend $900 on a handheld you're probably going to use not that often. So I actually may go with the lesser model for the reason of still being a part of the conversation, but I don't have to spend $900. And if they drop that thing, like he said, to $499.99, it's going to fly off shelves. There's no doubt about it. But let's get back to Starfield. So this is a game that I think is zeitgeist worthy of a conversation. People who played it loved it. Now, granted, now I would imagine there are some people that didn't love it for one reason or another. I will say that on its launch, it's probably the best launch for a Bethesda game ever. Like, it just worked. Now, did it have some bugs? Yes. I mean, that's just kind of the MO for Bethesda, but this was, at least in my opinion, one of the best launches for a Bethesda game. So we had the DLC that came out last year, and it came out, and a lot of people didn't like it. Some people thought it was too short. People thought it didn't answer enough questions. It wasn't meaty enough for a lot of the gamers looking for a more open DLC or expansion. So since then, you know, is it controversial? Listen, you're gonna like it or you don't like it. I mean, it's not. I don't think it's controversial. I just think that if you liked it, I liked it. I liked it a lot, actually. A lot of people didn't. I get you. But since then, there has not been a lot of movement, especially on the second promised DLC. And again, it's rumored to be called Starborn, which I would imagine it's going to tell the tale of the Starborn. And yesterday we got some information from Tim Lamb. Of course, he is and obviously this was due to the Bethesda themselves. They put out this developer spotlight. And I'm going to read verbatim from the tweet, folks. It says, "Meet Tim Lamb. In our latest developer spotlight, Tim takes us down his professional journey at Bethesda Game Studios. Ever since his start on Oblivion in 2006, Tim and his legendary visors have shaped some of your favorite features across our games." But you know what? It's what Tim had to say that's very interesting. And again, I don't want to play the video because I'm solo. I might actually add it, like when I do the video of this particular conversation, so you can see and listen to it. There are two versions. There's a short 43-second version that VGT put up, and there's a 5-minute version that I actually might add into the video so you guys and gals can check it out. But what's interesting is Tim confirms a bunch of new Starfield updates. And what VGT Gaming News has here in their bullet points is new DLC story, free updates, new features, new game systems, updated space gameplay. And they have in parentheses making space travel more rewarding. And Tim at the end of this video says other delights. He doesn't specifically say what those delights are, but we all have imagination. So I would imagine it's probably going to be on the high list of things that many people in the community have been asking for. Me personally, I beat the game. I started a second run. I did not put enough time into the second run because I mean I know there are people that know life this game. I can't. You know, again, there is so much to play right now. It's ridiculous. I rolled credits on Gears, which is of course revisiting a 20-year-old game was awesome. I'm going to make some time this weekend to hang out with my brother. I'm probably going to roll credits this weekend and roll through it as brothers, because that's what we did many years ago. You've heard me tell the story, and it's like a highlight for us as brothers. So we're probably going to run through that over the weekend. I didn't even start Shinobi. I downloaded it. I bought it. It's my God, there's just so many games to play. I still enjoy, obviously, Call of Duty. I'm playing Helldivers 2. It's a lot, ladies and gentlemen. And again, it's a good problem. You know, not a real world problem, but a good problem to have nonetheless. Yeah, Shinobi did drop, Thanatos. Yeah, it dropped Tuesday, I think. Monday and Tuesday were a blur for me and Mrs. Boom because we were dealing with the car and we had furniture delivered on Tuesday. It's just been a whirlwind of the last couple of weeks, but we're still here. So yeah, I think it Tuesday it dropped, and it's the Metacritic and the Open Critic were like just a pinch under 90, which is not surprising because it's really good. But you know, Starfield is, you know, I've heard people use the word polarizing. And I think it's polarizing in a way where people who love Bethesda games loved this game. I'm one of them. I love Bethesda games. I love open world. I love playing a game that your story is being told because you, as the player, have the ability to go left, right, or center. Now, granted, all Bethesda games are, well, not all, but most are these open world games, right? And they have a story, and you are playing the game to live out that story. What I love about Bethesda as a developer, and you know, with leaders like Tim and of course Todd Howard and so many others, is that they want you to look around the corner. Now, I was going to say every corner. That's how I play. And that's why a game that's supposed to be 40 hours winds up being about 300 hours for me, because I, like Infinite Umbra, love looking around the corner. I'm very easily distracted. I'm always looking for the next, you know, I like loot. So, of course, in these games, you're finding guns, you're finding weapons, you're finding armor, you're finding helmets, you're finding jetpacks, all of this great stuff. And because it's procedurally generated, your experience is going to be different than mine. Now, there's going to be some similarities for sure, but for the most part, we're going to put, let's say, here we go. Was this here? Finite Rich in the chat. Well, welcome. Finite Rich. Nice to see you here, brother. This name I don't recognize, and I apologize if you've been here before. He says he has 12 days in Starfield, one playthrough. Yeah, I'm up there with you, brother. I didn't want it to end. I really just love looking around the corner. Is this actually, oh no, it's Alex in the chat. He says, Starfield PS5, 10 out of 10, amazing game since its last patch. Listen, I don't know if that's the real guy or it's not, but if it is, salute to you, kind sir, for the work that you do. we're going to see some scores like that. You're going to see some people that are going to be like, well, when I played it on the Xbox, it was a 6. And now that I have it on PS5 Pro, those pros that run everything better than everything else, it is now a 12 out of 10. We will certainly see. But yeah, I mean, look, I'm excited to see what they do with Starfield. I think that this game is going to have super long legs, and Todd Howard and the team, more specifically Tim Lamb, have a great deal of story to tell. I don't necessarily know if there's going to be a Starfield 2. I think they could just keep pumping out expansions, but I think the expansions have to be well thought out. I think they need to be these big open world. It's space, folks. Like, it's got to be big. Again, the last DLC was on a planet, and it wasn't as procedurally generated. They were crafted, parts of this planet for a reason, and they told this kind of a closed story. I think that whatever Starborn is going to be, and maybe that's why we didn't hear about it. Maybe they heard the cries and the complaints of the peoples, right? You, me, and everybody in this chat were like, "Hey, it's good, but." Like I said, I don't have a problem with it. A lot of people wanted more. That's okay. You're a consumer. You are expected to ask for more. You're paying for this stuff. You should get better. I enjoyed it. I did not mind it being on one place. I thought the opening was freaking amazing. It did give me an Aliens type of vibe. You had like a lot of zero G, which I love. So I mean, again, that was just me. But we will see what they do. Cullen Prime says that you liked it. Yeah, I mean, it's it's not everyone is going to like the same thing, and that's perfectly okay. But I do think that because of the pushback, I guess you can use the word, by a lot of people who weren't trolling. And again, I just want this to be clear. If you, like, for instance, have a problem with Starfield for one reason or another, it doesn't mean that you're a troll. Now, there are people that do troll for the purpose of trolling. That's just what they do and who they are. And they will take anything, even when Xbox gets it right, they're going to find something wrong with it, and that's fine. But if you did have a complaint because you were used to taking your ship and flying all over the galaxy and having these open world, these water cooler moments that Starfield is known for, and I got to tell you, like, when you work with a regular crew of people, like I do, and everyone is playing the same game. We have these green room conversations like, "Oh my God, I found this." And you're like, where'd you find that? And I'm, you try to, give the point of contention, and someone else will say something and they found this. And I'm like, "Oh my God, that's so cool. Where'd you find that?" Like the story I told you about Pong Soul. I never found that ship. I've known people to have that I talked to that did find it. I never found it. And that's freaking pretty cool. So obviously, going from this open world space, no pun intended, to, of course, this, you land on the planet and this is what you're doing. A lot of people didn't like that. So I personally think, ladies and gentlemen, that maybe that's why we didn't get an announcement, because maybe they kind of pulled back a little bit and said, "Yeah, you know what? We don't want to do that again." And if that's the case, shout out to you folks for actually saying something and not being an a-hole about it. You don't got to curse at Todd Howard, to tell him that you didn't like the DLC. So if that's the case, and again, I don't know, I'm only speculating, then it's, congratulations, gamers, we win again. But let's catch up on the super chats here, ladies and gentlemen, and then we're going to get into these ridiculous numbers for Helldivers 2, and of course some narratives destroyed, which I love seeing the narratives destroyed, especially the anti-Xbox narratives. We have a super chat here from, let's see, okay, so I got the first two. Nightwolf 3186. Kind sir, what's up, brother? Nice to see you here. And thank you so much for the very generous $5 super chat. He says, sup, boom. Excited for new Starfield content, especially now that I finally got the new 65-inch LG C5 OLED with a 5.1 LG Dolby Atmos soundbar. Yeah, you know what, dude? I have something similar. It's not new. I got it last year, but I like Samsung. I've never owned an LG, and it's not because I've heard LGs are phenomenal. I got top of the line Samsung with a soundbar, and they have this thing Q Sync, where it's both speakers that when they work together, it's dope. So congratulations on the purchase, my brother. And yeah, I would imagine that games are looking really good on that TV. LG is legit. A lot of people buy it. Like I said, Mrs. Boom and I are Samsung, electronic junkies, so to speak. We have here our generous friend all the way from Hawaii. He has been a channel member for 22 months. Brother, that is very kind of you. Very generous of you. He says, appreciate the community you and Mrs. Boom built. Love the panels, and the chat is undefeated. We need a squad. We need to squad up again in Call of Duty. Aloha to all gamers. Mahalo. Well, mahalo to you, of course. Aloha to you and the family. And yes, we do definitely got to squad up again on Call of Duty. You know what? You mentioned it. I'm going to use Nino Vistic, and I'm going to do a subtopic, folks. Before we get into the Helldivers, I want to do a subtopic because it's kind of personal for me. So as you know, I stopped being a Call of Duty player for multiplayer in the Xbox 360 era. I haven't played in years. So of course, there's been many Call of Duties since then, and the beta came out for Call of Duty 6. I'm like, you know what? Let me give this a try. I haven't played Call of Duty. I probably suck, right? Because I was into Halo. I think I have like 23 or 25 days in Halo Infinite. I love Halo multiplayer. I haven't been back in a minute. I'm almost embarrassed to say it's got to be since Black Ops has come out. So it's almost a year. I should be ashamed of myself. I've missed numerous operations, but I played the beta, and because I was playing Halo, two different games, sure, but the skills are similar. You're playing multiplayer. I'm an old man, so obviously my skills aren't as they were when I was in my 20s and my 30s. I'm gonna be 55 next month, bro. So I mean, I still have the skills. They're just a little bit slower. So I played it, and I was like, this is a freaking amazing. What the H have I been doing? And so, this is a gas game. It's you buy skins, you buy coin packs to buy these skins. And I'm gonna be honest with you, a story that kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop, and I want to get the chat. You know what? I wish I had somebody here. I do a poll. It's very difficult to run a show solo and then do polls and do all this other stuff. So I'm gonna poll without doing a poll. So first of all, let me. Oh, you know what? Real quick, Aris_EMS drops not one but 5 double barrel gaming memberships, as he's done so many times before. Salute to you, kind sir. Thank you for the outstanding generosity. Mrs. Boom and I do truly appreciate it. If you did get a sub from Aris_EMS, please thank them in the chat. It would be greatly appreciated. But a story that broke earlier this week, that because my life was turned upside down with this car and a lot of things that we have going on personally, I didn't even address it. So again, shout out to Nino Vistic for actually sparking this conversation. And the conversation, and I really think there's going to be a split here. One of the biggest detractors for Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is its skins. When the game launched, it had mostly military-like skins, right? That most of the skins you used were skins that were in the game, and some that came out after they were military. And then they started getting a little wacky, right? You know, you saw, and we've seen this before. This is not new, right? Rihanna was running around in Warzone. Snoop's running around in Warzone. Spawn is running around in Warzone. Now, look, I got to be honest with you, folks. I don't take this stuff super serious because it's a video game. You know, I'm not going to run around and get 92 kills in real life. Otherwise, you're listening to a psychopath, and I'm not that. So I go and I play Call of Duty. I have fun with it. You know, I buy ridiculous skins, and I don't buy all of the ridiculous skins. Like you've seen on all of the footage that I show you, most of them, that's like a biker with a skull mask or this steampunk looking dude, right? Like, I mean, I bought a vampire chick. I mean, I wouldn't buy American Dad. I wouldn't buy the lady that's running around in her unicorn PJs, right? Like, I'm not going to buy that. And if you do, that's okay, you know. But there's been a super divide with the community about it's listen, it's split. You have 50% of the people that love the wacky skins because it brings comedy and variety to their Call of Duty. There is a camp that really does say, no, we don't want this anymore. Now, this really took off with how many people played the Battlefield 6 beta. And look, folks, I'm not trying to take anything away from the beta, but it was free. You didn't have to pre-order the game. You just had to register and go play. And then it was open to everybody. And it was on PC, it was on PlayStation, it was on Steam. Everyone was playing it. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I played it for a couple of hours and I thought it was meh. I mean, the destruction is great. Yeah. Did I get a bunch of kills? Yeah. Did I get blown up a couple of times in buildings? Yeah. Did a tank shoot me? Yeah, sure, of course. Great. But I did not think that it was all that, to be honest with you. I thought it was okay. And a lot of people are split. There are some people that really like the wacky skins because it's a video game and you're supposed to have fun and no one takes it serious. And then you have a camp of old school Call of Duty guys and gals, right? They just want military. So there was a presser. And now, folks, I normally have all of this stuff here. I don't have it in front of me. I don't even know if I have it in my show notes from a couple of days ago. But there was a letter to the community from Call of Duty at Activision saying that, normally they have a program where all of your purchased skins are moved forward to the next Call of Duty. Well, that's not happening here. That is something that they're going to stop. Your skins that you purchase will be available in Warzone, which I do not play. And I want to say that it's a bit of a bummer. Because when you spend money, this is the problem with the digital era, folks. The problem is a company like Activision, which of course is Xbox and Microsoft, can say, well, we're not going to move these skins forward like we used to because we heard you, community, and we want realism in Black Ops 7. Folks, let me just paint the picture for you for Black Ops 7. There's nothing realistic about it. There are cyborg robots running around killing people. Is that happening here in 2025? It is not. So please don't use, we're trying to keep it a buck when you're talking about cyborg robots and people war running and using jetpacks to fly over buildings, because none of that is actually happening. So I'm just saying that if we're going to keep it a buck, be like, hey, listen, we're nervous. We're going to get our lunch eaten by Battlefield 6, which I don't think is going to happen, to be honest with you, because look, I'm buying Battlefield 6. It's already paid for, folks. They already pre-ordered it. I bought the $100 edition. It's fine. I buy games, which we're going to get into about Xbox players buying games. We're going to get into that momentarily, but I just think that the skins in Battlefield 6, and this is where we're going to get into a poll, folks. I'm gonna try and work this because again I'm solo dolo, so I'll get to the other super chats momentarily. Do me a favor, folks. If you are someone like me that likes these skins, throw one in the chat. If you're someone on the other side of the conversation and you don't like these skins, you don't like the girl running around in her unicorn PJs, throw a 2 in the chat. You want more realistic. You want dude, bro, military, big muscles. How dare you put a girl in here? I'm sorry. That's what it sounds like to me. I see. So, okay. So here we go. Let me get to them. So Max City is a 1. J Surge 1. Anthony Chipmunk, what's up, brother? He says a 1. Sir Riffs a lot 1. Iman Burns 1. Right now, here comes the 2s, folks. Steelo Facts, good friend of the show 2. Mac 22 is 2. Nightwolf 3186 2. The Duck of Death 2. Satanist, he writes a 3. So I guess you like both. Shout out to you, brother. So there's a lot of 2s here. We have Humar is 2, Ultron Quake 2, the Ninja Duck 1. Oh no, it's Alex 2, Ninja with Killer Blue. I like all the skins. I like options. Yeah, me too. So Wayne Corp 1, and a good friend of the show, Pragmatic Eagle. Great to see you here, brother. He says I don't care, and I don't care either. It's a video game. You know what? I am going to say, though, I did see a lot of people asking for a mode or a toggle switch to shut off the wacky skins. Now, I don't know how. Listen, I'm not a programmer. Any developers in the chat that may want to help with this conversation, I have no idea. Like, I literally have no idea about how you do that. Like, is it a toggle switch that just makes everybody, blobs, like, like the spiders in Grounded, or is it something where that everyone, it's just the launch skins and they all look like military men and women? I don't know how this works. I'm not a developer. I don't even know if it's even possible, to be honest with you. It's a savvy idea, but so basically the outcry from the community has I don't know if it's scared Activision or it's pushed them to not do the skins. So in retrospect of the whole conversation, and apologies for being a little bit long-winded because Mrs. Boom says I am and she's not wrong. I just think it sucks. I think if you spent the money, and I'll put it this way, if you are someone that did spend the money and you play Warzone, it's no big deal to you, right? You just pick your character, your Spawn skin or your, Nicki Minaj skin and run around and kill people. Awesome. I don't play, I don't like extraction stuff, and I don't like battle royales. It's just not my bag. I like multiplayer, 6-on-6, 8-on-8, 10-by-10, 12-by-12, whatever. So it sucks for me because I bought a lot of skins. So those skins are going to stay with 6. Now, what does that mean? Is 6 going to go away? No, I probably could still play 6, but 7 is going to be out. So of course I want to play 7. Yeah. So the House Flan in the chat says the toggle switch would be the perfect solution. Yeah, it would be. It would be the literally perfect solution, though I don't know if it's even possible because again I'm not. So Aris _EMS says blame Fortnite for all these wacky skins. Yeah, I mean you're not wrong. Fortnite has an event with Ninja Turtles, and people like me who don't really play Fortnite will be so enthused by the fact that they look like the like the 90s turtles that I grew up with that I'm gonna buy them. You put Snake Eyes in Fortnite. Yeah, you're getting my money. shamefully enough to say. I don't know. I mean, it's done, right? It's not happening. They're going to sell skins. What they're going to sell, I don't know. I am going to tell you this right now. I think EA is in a bit of a pickle, because I think no one is going to buy those boring ass skins. They all suck. Every man or woman soldier I saw running around on the battlefield looked the same, except for a grenade placement on the left versus the right. You know, a black mask, a brown mask, goggles, no goggles. You know, I look, it's boring AF in my opinion. But you know, again, we'll see who the winner is. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. My early thought and theory on who wins multiplayer, of the year. I think that a lot of people are enthused with what they're doing with Battlefield, and I like Vince Zampella, and I like the fact that there multiple teams are helping this. But I could care less about their multiplayer. It's all right. I'll take Call of Duty 10 out of 10 times, and I actually think Call of Duty is going to eat their lunch again, as it's done for years. But Max City says boring. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I think their skins are boring AF. I just think that they're And when they don't, this is going to be the funny one. When the skins don't sell, and people start moving away from Battlefield 6, are they going to have EA skins? Are they going to have Isaac from Dead Space running around, right, on the battlefield? Are they going to have one of the Star Wars characters running around from the EA Battlefront? You tell me. The answer is probably, because no one's going to want those boring ass soldier skins. They're boring. They're just boring. But it is what it is. Safe Space Invader says Battlefield was amazing to me, like a real gamer. I'll play both. Yeah, of course. Again, listen, I'm not dumping on Battlefield. I played it. I bought it. I'm gonna pay for it. I'm not canceling my pre-order. But I just think that it's it's all right. It seemed a little slow. I did not like the weapon handling. The guns felt so flat. I know it's a beta, so they're gonna fix it, sure. But I just again, coming from someone who used to be a Call of Duty main way back in the days, came back to Call of Duty last year, and there was no Battlefield at the time. I don't know. It's just I'm gonna give it the old college effort. I just don't think I'm gonna stay with Battlefield. If I have to, just based on the beta, if I have to pick one or the other, I'm probably going Call of Duty Black Ops 7, because Black Ops is one of my favorite in the series. But we will see. We will see. But look, you know what? While we are still here, I'm going to say I'm probably going to go to about maybe 10 after, give or take. 70 minutes is about all my voice is, allows me, because, I am an old man. But give me a second to take a swig here. I do want to get into Helldivers 2, for a lot of reasons. One of which, so let me pull the story. I have ready to go, folks. Now, this comes the way of John Clark, the Xbox Era podcast, and of course, XboxEra.com. I know a lot of people, still rag on, them breaking news and stuff like that. Look, I'm friends with everybody there. I love them all. I've met them in real life. They're great people. I love Xbox Era. One of my favorite reviewers to read and watch his stuff is Jesse Norris. He's one of the best in the business. They break stories all the time, but this story I pulled specifically because I like promoting Xbox Era. I know a lot of people don't like that. Hey, that's fine. They're my friends. They're not your friends. That's perfectly okay. But they posted this 4 hours ago, and the headline is Helldivers 2 player count skyrockets and topples the 500,000 player mark. This is a really big deal, folks. And I said this in a tweet, and it got a lot of likes, which is great. This is what happens when you invite Xbox to the party. And of course, there's you're going to get the trolls. They're always going to come for you one way or another, and that's fine. But I want to read a little bit from the article, and of course, I will post the link in the show notes if you want to go and give it over a click and read the article for yourself. It says this: in case you missed it, Helldivers 2 has arrived on Xbox, and it seems to be doing rather well for itself as Xbox players piled in and pledged their lives to the defense of Super Earth. Helldivers 2 players count jumped, at one point topping over 500,000 players across all platforms. And this is you gotta love the marketing for Helldivers, and you gotta love that developer. Whoever's doing their socials is just freaking awesome. And this is from the official Twitter Helldivers, and this is their presser, folks. And again, it's silly, but it's awesome. It says here, an official statement from the president of Super Earth, ladies and gentlemen, says, an official statement from the president of Super Earth in all caps. Today, we give thanks to every new Helldiver that has joined the valiant fight for managed democracy. Since the opening of new enlistment centers, which of course is bringing Xbox to the table, in our recovering mega cities, we have seen an unprecedented jump in recruitment among citizens of all ages and classifications. Your bravery, patriotism, potential sacrifice will make the galaxy safer and freer for all super citizens. Give them hell. And you know what? Look, folks, I know it's just advertising, but how freaking cool is that? Like, that is just silly, but cool. I am going to say that now. You've heard me say this before, and I'm going to say it again live on the air. I cannot wait for the sales numbers of this game to come in, because let me tell you something. We know before this was released on Xbox that they had sold over 14 million copies. That's very impressive. This game, whether you know it or it doesn't, not only outsold Spider-Man 2, but had 1/3 of the budget. It had $100 million budget, whereas Spider-Man 2 had a $315 million budget and was outsold by Helldivers 2. Just crazy. This is one of Sony's most successful multiplayer games in years. It is a really big deal, and it sold over 12 million copies on Steam. That is a lot of freaking copies, ladies and gentlemen. And Steam is massive, right? Millions and millions of people play it. This game is a bit niche. It's difficult. If you do the solo thing, you are taking a chance of dying a lot. And the first time I actually died, I blew myself up, which was embarrassing. I threw the orbital strike grenade, and I thought I was far enough away, and it kind of rolled towards me, and I exploded myself, which I was like, God damn it, I wish I would have, taped this so I could put it on, on the socials and show everyone that, yes, you can die like that. I did. I orbital striked myself, which is embarrassing, but such is life, right? That's the life of a Helldiver. These things happen. But only, and again, this is what I was able to find. So if there is some PlayStation player that wants to, be a part of the Earth Defense Force for Sony, DM me with the actual numbers. But the only number I could find was 2 million players that purchased it on PlayStation 5. That's terrible. This is a major exclusive, and it's really freaking good. And 2 million. I mean, didn't they sell 80 million consoles or ship 80 million consoles? Like, where are all the PlayStation players? Because I know there's a lot of talk about buying games, that they buy everything. They really don't, because Spider-Man 2 got outsold by this. Spider-Man 2, great freaking game. Where are the PlayStation players? I have no idea. But look, That's one of the other parts of the conversation I want to have, because and this is not console warring, folks. I am taking the quotes from the nameless people in the community, because we don't do the names thing here. You guys and gals know that told you and me that we are so trained by Xbox Game Pass that we don't buy games. Isn't it, folks? I mean, back me up here. Isn't that what they said? Because I believe I heard that multiple times by multiple content creators. Hell, I've even heard from some people in the press who said that we don't buy games because we have Xbox Game Pass. Well, apparently, this game is selling like hotcakes, and it's probably going to be number one on the Xbox store. You've heard me say this before. When Sony brings over their whole slate, and they are, the same success that Xbox is having on PlayStation right now, I believe you're going to see the same success on PlayStation, because their games are really freaking good. You're going to see a lot of their games released on Xbox be in the top best-selling games. What are those games? Well, one of them is Helldivers for sure. And if you tuned in last night to the recent quote from 2 days ago from Insomniac Games, it sounds like Spider-Man 2018 is around the corner. Days Gone is a really good one. Last week we broke a story regarding Returnal. That could be around the corner. It's happening, folks. So I think you're going to see Sony want to make money, and I think Sony's going to have almost the same success. I really, really do, because a lot of people are going to buy the games. And I'm wondering, ladies and gentlemen, how many people on Xbox are going to buy this. Now, granted, whoever at Arrowhead decided that, and again, there's a video that you can watch that shows, or basically it's the Xbox podcast that talks about how the collaboration of Helldivers and the Hell Jumpers from ODST happened. It's really good. You should definitely check it out. I'll also add that to the link, so if you want to just click on it, you could watch it. And not only did that get a lot of people on Xbox to go out and buy this game, it got a lot of people on PlayStation. At least I hope so. I know we see the numbers on Steam. Steam has sold a lot more copies of Helldivers because of this ODST crossover collaboration. I don't know if ODST means anything for PlayStation players. Probably not, unless you're an OG Xbox guy or gal. But for me, it's a really big deal. I bought the deluxe edition, which I did on PlayStation 5. So I double dipped. When the game came out 2 days ago, I spent $30. I got $30 worth of coins. I got a tenner, and a 20. And I bought the $15 ODST pack. They got my money. I don't mind spending money on DLC that I really want, and I really wanted it. And I'm running around with armor called something 117, and it looks like something out of Halo. It doesn't look like Master Chief, but it looks like something out of Halo. And I'm currently working towards getting all of the ODST stuff. But I listen. I don't like the console war. It's some people do it to great degree, and we need them in the community, because they put some of the PlayStation players in their place when they step out of line, and I freaking love it. Dirk Riggedy and the gang, they're some of the best in the business. I love the work that they do, and they are necessary, folks. I'm sorry, they are necessary to keep a fair playing field, so to speak. So shout out to Joey, shout out to Sean, shout out to Ray, and of course the man himself, Dirk Riggedy. Love those guys. Love the podcast. This is one of my favorite shows that I watch every week. I don't miss an episode, especially when he does the One Man Dark Man. Again, I don't know how he does it. Phenomenal. Him and Mav are the best in the business when it comes to the solo stuff. I'm just starting to get into it. I don't like it. I like bouncing off other people. But, well, today's one of those days I had to be in front of the mic and camera for what's going on in the 60 minutes. So, yeah, I did take the blue pill, folks, and I can go over an hour, goddammit, at 55. How you like them apples? Boys. But you know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm going to be a little slanderous if Xbox players outbuy this game on PlayStation. If you see 2, 3, 4, 5 million people on Xbox buy this and it doubles up PlayStation, you're going to hear about it from me, because shame on you, PlayStation players, that you didn't support this game. And you know what's interesting? And this is the question I have not heard anyone ask. And maybe I'm going to use some reverse psychology on some of the PlayStation naysayers. Right now, you've heard some of the PlayStation content creators say that it's our fault, us, Xbox gamers. It's our fault that Phil and team said we need to go third party because we don't buy games, right? You heard me say that in the opening of this conversation, right? And obviously, that's not true. I buy, I don't know about you folks, I buy a lot of games. Oh, I buy too many games. That's my problem. I need to stop buying games because my backlog, I'm a 6-foot man, and it's 3 times my size. I'm never going to beat down my backlog. It's ridiculous. But the thought of Xbox players stepping up to the plate and buying Helldivers 2, a multiplayer game, that is awesome. This is a triumph by a studio that is talented. And what could you say about Arrowhead, man? They just knocked this out of the park. It is so much fun. It's so much. It's challenging. The Konami code you have to enter to drop things is frustrating, but also satisfying when you get it right. I mean, I'm very much enjoying myself. I enjoyed it on the PlayStation 5. I'm enjoying it even more on Xbox because I get to use a controller that I really like, which is, of course, the Elite. And I cannot wait to see the sales on this, because I don't know if, we ultimately, because like I said, it's reverse psychology. PlayStation players said the reason why games went multi-plat is because we don't buy games. We are so, like word they use, trained to get games for quote unquote free that we don't buy any games. I don't know if it's the same one-to-one, but it's an interesting thought and theory. We know that the game sold over 12 million copies on Steam. That is a lot of copies. Where it didn't sell was on PlayStation 5. Are PlayStation 5 players to blame for this game going multi-plat? Because if it would have sold, 12 million copies on Steam, 12 million copies on PlayStation, then at that point, if it does come to another platform like Xbox, it's probably because Sony knows that they have a hit and they want to make money. Or it's the other side of the coin. They felt inclined to bring it to Xbox because the PlayStation players didn't show up. And that's a question that we're going to have to find out. It's a question that we're going to have an answer to once we find out how many people on Xbox bought the game. I'm very interested to see. And again, let's see. Raymond says it still sold millions of copies on PlayStation 5. Gamers can never buy enough games. Thousands of games released each year. No, I mean, you're not wrong, but it is a major PlayStation 5 exclusive. Yes, it's multiplayer, but I mean, 2 million versus 12 million on Steam. Could you imagine if they didn't release it on Steam? It would have flopped, which is crazy because it's an amazing freaking game. So again, we will see whether or not PlayStation players get outbought or outmaneuvered, if you will, by Xbox players. I am going to say, though, I do like a lot of what I've seen from the community. It's very easy to be a troll POS, right? Like say some disingenuous stuff. And because there's a lot of faceless people on the internet that just, have these, Johnny 2222 with an anime picture, right? They're not real people. They're just a-holes. Shout out to, and apologies to Johnny 222 if he does exist, but it was just, used as a figurative number. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm enjoying it. I'm literally gonna, when I'm done here, couch is waiting for me, and so was Helldivers too. I freaking can't wait to get into it. Let me catch up on the super chats here, and then we will get everyone the H out of here. Okay, so Will the Broke Boy Insider. Oh, Will, I'm sorry I missed this, brother. He says, Call of Duty talk. I'm in. Boom. Apologies, brother. Again, when I got 3 screens open, I missed it. He drops a very generous $2 super chat. We'll bring you in. We'll get you. We'll bring you on next week for sure. I'll DM you with the deets. We have B_nice in the chat. Great to see you here, brother, and thank you very much for the very generous $5 super chat. He says, all this BS with the skins, simplify it, split it up. Multiplayer with traditional skins, store skins, and multiplayer with fantasy store skins, problem fixed. That is a pretty brilliant idea. I don't know if that kind of, I mean, it's Call of Duty. Is Call of Duty as big as it once was? Maybe not. But there are a lot of people playing. I mean, it's in the top 10, most played games every month. So people are still playing it. I think that's a pretty damn good idea, dude. You should drop that. You should at the devs, and maybe they'll take them into consideration. Because again, I don't know if there's if they could invent such a thing as a toggle that makes everyone with military skins, or this is a great idea, actually have multiplayer lobbies that are for fantasy, all skins, or just military skins. I think it's a pretty good idea. Will the Broke Boy Insider drops an additional, very generous $5 super chat. He says, when PlayStation Plus had Call of Duty marketing, the exclusive packs, if you use that skin in PlayStation on Xbox, it appeared as a base operator, only able to be seen by PlayStation players. I did not know that. I think we have our answer. I think it can be done. Whether they decide to do it or not, that is a question, but I'm still going to say that I am pissed that I cannot have my skins that I paid for. I think it's horseshit, to be honest with you. We also have here Wayne Corp in the chat. So great to see you here, brother, and thank you so much for the very generous $2 super chat. It says there's an option to turn off weapon fix. They can. I mean, if there's an option for one, there's probably an option for the other. You're never going to hear me ever say lazy devs. These devs work their tails off. I don't know. You know what? If they ever have like a community open chat, the devs are live and they're taking your questions, I'd probably jump to that and see if they could take my question about whether or not they could do that. Because again, I paid for these skins. I should be able to use them in Black Ops 7. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to. House Flan in the chat, who's been a channel member for 24 months. Brother, that's very kind of you. He says, full character lineup of G.I. Joe would be crazy and cool. Dude, now you're tugging at my heartstrings. I still collect G.I. Joe. Not the 3 3/4 ones like I did when I was a kid. I'm collecting the classified series. They have 150 figures. I bought them all. Unfortunately, we're in a small apartment, as you can see. I want to display them. Right now, they're in storage. They're in box. And every HasLab, I've backed every HasLab. I just got my Rattler the other day. It's a shame. It's sitting in a brown box. Like I can't open it because I got nowhere to put it. But hopefully one day we'll get the man cave and I'll be able to put that stuff up. But yes, Call of Duty. You want to bring G.I. Joe? I'd run around in a Snake Eye skin in a MF second. Jonas the Dad in the chat, who's been a channel member for almost 2 years himself. Thank you so much for the support, Jonas. We super appreciate it. He says, let's go. Great show all. Thanks for being a fun, positive corner to talk about Xbox. Brother, that's very kind of you to say. I super appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, listen, are we pointed? Sure. Do we put, Sony on blast? We absolutely do, but we don't do it in a way that's insulting or hurtful. We don't take this stuff serious. It's it's pointed opinions. It's not personal. Some people do, and it's unfortunate when it gets that way. But thank you very much for the kind words, Jonas. We also have Bounty in the chat. He drops a very generous $5 super chat. Wagwan, Bounty. Thank you so much for being here. He says, I have to disagree with you. I think if some PS gamers come to X, or it's going to do as good because of all of the games we have in our library now. I mean, look, the moving of people from one console to the other, I don't know if that's actually a thing. I think people, and I think Phil said it right all those years ago when he was interviewed. He said that, you know, we lost the worst generation. And of course, that was the digital one where it started. People have their digital libraries. I personally don't think people are going to, you know, like if they own a PlayStation 5, I don't think they take their PlayStation 5 to trade it in and they lose all their stuff. I don't know if people actually do that. I think that's why they went third party, because they knew people that were entrenched in the PlayStation ecosystem weren't going to do that. Will some people do it? Potentially. If a new console, a new Xbox console comes out that's more PC-like, you might get people to be like, well, you know what? I could play everything over there. I don't need the PlayStation. Like, I've already said it, and I'm not being facetious. I'm not buying a PlayStation 6, or at least for now, because if everything is going to eventually come to PC and there's an Xbox that does everything, including Steam, I don't need to buy a PlayStation 6. That's $900 I don't have to spend. I'm okay with that. I'm going to buy PlayStation games. I'm going to buy every one of them because, you know, I like their first-party games. I love their first-party games. But I won't have to buy the console. And that's great. You know, I'll play the console and ecosystem and achievements and everything that I want on the one box. I mean, that's a win. Now, if you're on PlayStation, you shouldn't have to leave. And Xbox is saying you don't have to leave. Here's a game. Here's everything. Here's whole slate. Here's the Trinity. Gears, Halo 4s are on PlayStation. Right? Who wins, gamers? 2 years ago, I was like, this is some BS. Now, everyone knows that, the 7 stages of grief, and then the last stage is acceptance. I mean, I'm not leaving. My library is here. I'm going to stay around, so I've just accepted the fact that they went multi-plat, and it is what it is. We have 30 below in the chat. Great to see you here, brother. Thank you so much for the very generous $5 super chat. 30 below goes on to say, I don't have a problem with console war. I don't actually have a problem with it either. I just don't really do it, to be honest with you. He says, I have a problem when it's used to spread lies and misinformation. I mean, look, I think that when I put these shows together, you guys and gals have heard me say that I enjoy evidence-based conversation. And when I say that, it's because I'm a former police officer. And everything that we did, or at least what I did, is the evidence is the evidence. Right? You have to articulate yourself why you did what you did. That's your job as a police officer. You're supposed to do it to the best of your ability. I did. I did it the way my father was as a man, and that is honorable, and integrity being top of the bar for me personally, both in uniform and out, and even what I do here. Now, if I have an opinion and I say, well, I don't like this because of this, that's my opinion. I'm entitled to it. You may not like it, or someone in the chat may not like it, and that's fine. We don't have to agree, but it's still my opinion. I'm entitled to it. I get pointed, but when I do get pointed, I bring the backup. I bring the articles. I bring the tweets. I bring the quotes. And that's the evidence-based conversation that I like having, because you can have a difference of opinion, but if it's documented, you can say what you want. You may not agree with it, but it is what it is. But thank you, 30 below. Super appreciate it. And I agree with you. I don't like the misinformation either. We also have here, wow, this is crazy. Pragmatic Eagle, generous friend of the program. And I say generous because he's been a channel member for as long as the channel has been around, ladies and gentlemen. 71 months, bro. That is crazy generous of you. I don't even know what to say, but thank you. He says, a toggle is doable, Boom. Many games allow you to disable particle effects and whatnot from other players on your screen. Just requires them to do it, and when he's saying do the work, I hope that I don't know if they tried it and it failed, or they're just, and I don't want to use the word. I want to use the word lazy, man, because devs are not lazy. This is one of those instances where, as a consumer, I kind of feel a bit slighted, and I don't think I'm buying any more skins. Like anything, unless it is so dope that I can't live without it, I'm not buying anything else. Because again, if I can't move my stuff over, you're not getting my money. Why should I? I'm probably still going to play Black Ops 6, but who is really staying on Black Ops 6 when Black Ops 7 comes? Not a lot of people. We also have the last super chat of the day. Okay, this is interesting. So this may be something we'll cover tomorrow. Nightwolf3186 drops an additional, very generous $2 super chat and says, the indie DLC deep dive just dropped. Yes, dude, I'm going to go watch that. It's funny that you say that. I was watching The Last Crusade last night with his pops. And I was saying to Mrs. Boom, I'm like, man, I swear to God, I had this conversation with her last night. I said, I wonder if at some point, whether it be a DLC or one of the sequels that's planned, will we get his dad in there? Oh my God. Could you imagine if they motion capture? I mean, he's not here anymore, but obviously they can do what they do in film and, scan him in. If you can get Sean Connery to reprise his role as dad, oh my God. Bro, sign me up, please. Last Crusade is my favorite in the series, and it probably has a lot to do with how I was with my pops, right? Like I know I didn't have a hard relationship like him and in Indy and his dad, not like that. My pops was amazing, but the love that they had in the movie, the film, that's how I was with my pops. So for me, The Last Crusade, my favorite. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, I am losing my voice. You can tell by how deep my voice is getting, and already the New York accent is probably sounding worse. But I want to thank everybody in the chat. Apologies if I did not welcome in everyone as I normally do, because again, when you're solo dolo, I have a couple of screens open, and I'm trying to read super chats, keep the show on track. Last night's conversation that I had with Kay Asante and Hargeet Chani, I am going to make into a video because there's a lot of hands-on talk and conversation about the ROG Ally X and S from Kay Asante. So I'm going to cut that up later today, make that into a smaller video and throw that up. And I'll see if you missed the show live, I might be able to cut this up. I got to see. I got to listen back to it and start chopping it up to see if it makes sense. Yes, I know Sean Connery has passed away. Yes, what I was saying, Mac, is that they could scan him based on his film presence and bring him into, again, if the family would allow it. Obviously, he's not here. He passed away. But I would love, oh my God, if they can get him into the game, whether it be as a main character. Yeah, I just blew myself up, so folks, you saw me right there. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. Big thank you to everyone that tuned in. Over 300 people watching live on a Thursday, ladies and gentlemen. And a big thank you to all the super chats, channel member chats, and gifted memberships that have popped in. Mrs. Boom and I do honestly and truly appreciate them. And it's because of you that allow us to do the giveaways. And we have 3 coming up for the remainder of the year. Mrs. Boom's birthday bash in November, my birthday bash next month, and of course, our monster size giveaway, Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. BoomStick, as we've done every year since the inception of the show. But of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad told us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.